My name is Priya, and I wanted to talk today a little bit about when we think about achieving success, really the journey that we take, and reflect on what is most meaningful in our when we think back to achieving success and why. Um, so as you can see here, a lot of times we'll set a goal and we'll think straight line, as most human beings do, to achieve it, right? We just need to go from point A to point B. How hard could that be? And we realize that there's actually a journey that we take across all of these um, different feelings, different thoughts, um, going through all of these different waves, if you will. And so what do we actually remember after we have achieved that success? It's the feelings. It's still the feelings, right? It's the gratification we felt when we finally made our mark, right? Or achieved that result in the project that we were trying to go for. And so it really made me think about the journey. Sometimes it's actually the journey itself is what we remember, how hard we worked towards something and finally achieved it, right? And the journey that we took in understand, wait, I don't know things around this particular subject. Well, how do I go about finding that out, right? And so we go through the failing, the practicing, feeling lost, all these things. And one of the things that occurs when you reflect on this is, okay, this entire journey, somebody could have told me about it, but maybe it wouldn't have resonated with me as much. So one of my managers actually gave me this viewpoint, and it took me a little while to accept that in some senses. He says wisdom means nothing. You have to do it, right? You have to go through it. So think about cooking. You have to actually try it, practice it. Think about teaching someone how to change a diaper, right? You won't know until you actually do it, and you practice it week over week. So what does that tell you? Okay, so that means you got to make that investment, right? Do it repeatedly, and you have to repeat yourself sometimes, especially in a broad organization when you're trying to move 150 people, 200 people to do something, to act a certain way, to think a certain way. And so it is that week over week investment that finally you get to the point where, okay, people are asking the right questions. They're engaged on this particular matter that I care about, right? So being patient with that is also a skill as you try to get folks on the journey with you. And so sometimes we may think, well, I have a goal and I want to achieve it. Sometimes we have to look at the whole picture and say, well, okay, I'm talking about moving an entire machine. How do I do that effectively? And so it really made me think a little bit about how success is actually achieved. When I think about success, there's obviously a lot of different things, right, that we may think about. It might be intellect, it might be resiliency, it might be grit, it might be a lot of things, right? But the one thing I realized throughout my career, I didn't focus on as much, but actually did play a huge role in what I remember of that time in my life. And I use those words deliberately, right? So when I think about achieving success, it's about working hard, being smart, and having fun. There's a lot of us, I think especially women, we tend to work hard. Um, the next thing that we also have started to do is kind of be strategic with our time, where to invest it. Who do we talk to get a certain project on its way? Where do we have those deep thinking sessions? How do we ensure that there's actionability around what it is that we're trying to say and do. But then the last piece is having fun. How we feel about something determines, in a sense, the success we're going to achieve as well. Because as our previous speaker said, if you're fearing something, right, then you're going to procrastinate. It automatically is going to come into your actions, come into the way you show up, and get reflected in the work, right, that gets done. Now, contrast it with, having fun. It might just be a minute a day where you're getting together with the team and just making, having some jokes, even if it is after the pandemic where it's a little hard to get in front of people, right? So make sure that, you keep that part of it also, as a benefit for you, but also your team members. They'll also remember good things, right, that came with this. With the time together that you had. You get to make better memories. You get to remember, during my 30s or, mid 30s, I was in this role and we had this much fun, right? So it's something that you take with you as experiences. So one of the things that I started to think through is, well, how do I create value? What is my process to do that? If that's what I'm seeking, that is what the team is seeking. So I said, okay, let me think about this. Well, I got to understand the end goal, right? What does that look like? Well, there's a few things involved in this. It could be understanding the requirements. It could be understanding who do I need to talk to achieve that, right? What is that end goal? How much do I need others around me to care about that goal as well? What are their goals? Right. So there's an aspect of having a complete understanding of the problem, because a problem identified is a problem half solved. Said another way, you can also look at it as a problem shared is a problem half solved. So the next step is understand, well, what's the hesitation, right? What's holding us back towards progressing towards this end goal? Maybe there are some blinders that we have, or blind spots, I would say, right? So that's the other thing about this is, what do I not know about this? And in some cases, it's not just what's holding me back, but it's also what's holding other people back from caring about the goal as much as you do, or maybe the objective is for them not to, right? So understand who the right people are in that case. And sometimes it's just about persistence, right? Or other times, it's about, what are their objectives, right? Maybe there's a disconnect. So you need to think through that. So then you need to figure out, how do you get them to care about what it is that you care about? In a way, you might need to also have shared objectives, right? So join what's important to you with what's important to them, right? And that creates an interesting dynamic, because in some senses, you're kind of tying your success with theirs, but also it's the same thing for them, right? If they can help you achieve what you need to achieve, then they will also achieve their goal or lose it, right? So those are some of the things that I thought through around this aspect of shared success. So when you have those shared objectives, you understand their motivators, right? You kind of go back and say, okay, let's clarify the purpose, understand clearly what theirs is, and then prioritize those activities that achieve the desired end result, right? For both sides. And once you prioritize, you understand what's going to hold more weight than the other, what's going to achieve something better. Then you can focus on execution, right? Execution rigor. Because without that, that framework, it kind of falls apart at times. But it all starts with, in a sense, I've seen it many a times when we work, it starts with, well, how do we feel about something, right? What is that desired end goal that we have? And it might be a motivator. So the learning here was, do not discount, uh, how people feel about something or the motivators that exist to get somewhere. Keep that front and center. And that's what I had for you all today. I appreciate everybody's time. And Uma, thank you so much for providing this platform. It's become even more important. Every year as we are in the technology field, I'm finding that these connections mean so much on a day-to-day basis for us. There's so much learning in these forums. So thank you for giving me this opportunity.